Hello and welcome. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and say hello. You can turn on your camera and unmute yourself if you'd like. Love to hear from everyone. Love to
Hi,
see bright faces. Hello.
hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm from Germany.
Ah, that's good.
Yeah,
Willkommen.
Uh,
Dankeschön.
it's a good nooked, right? Is
Ja.
it evening? It's the evening there. Yeah?
It's evening. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
nice. Welcome. My
Thank
family,
you.
my
And but
family is all from Germany. My brothers were all born there.
ah,
Yeah, my father
great.
was there in the military for 15 years.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so I had three boys, my three half brothers. Yeah,
Wow. So you know Germany a little.
a bit. Yeah, I went there in oh t- like early 2000s and went from Brussels, Belgium through yeah, went and rode a bike up the Rhine and down the Moselle.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm up in Hamburg, very north, but I was born in Bonn, and the reason why I'm so interested in this training is that I have a property in a house in Greece. And wildfires are a topic, a very current topic for me. So,
Okay. Well, we're glad to have you. I'm going to tell everyone else too. Feel free to unmute yourself and turn on your camera and say hello. Tell me where you're coming from. Would love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm Julia.
Hello, Julia.
Hi,
Where-
I'm from Holland originally, but I lived for a long time in Peru and working here on a forestation project, large scale, and very interested in wildfires and how to prevent them. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. Great. Love to hear from anyone else. We've got a lot of folks in. Abby, Adrian, Crystal, Colleen, Aaron, Jean, Graham, Julia. Oh, we heard Julia. We just heard from
Well, I'll
Julia.
say hello, but I have no video. But I'll say, hey, I'm Gene from Oregon. Hello.
Hello, Jean. All right.
all right.
Just north of us here.
I'm on the coast of Oregon down near California in Gold Beach.
Okay. Great. Cool. Not too far.
Now, we have quite a few fires around here too, so it's very important to be mindful of what can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for doing it. We need more of it, more people to consider what they can do to prevent fires.
That's right. Yeah, it's it's how I got into all this, seeing there's not a lot. And I just want to tell everybody right now. So I'm in California here. I'm at about 700 something feet, and it's snowing outside. It's very unique. It's not that it doesn't happen, but it's very unique.
We got the second snow I've seen in 12 years this last day, but it's barely there. We have a little bit of residue left because it doesn't last very long here on the coast. But we did get the second snow in 12 years yesterday,
It's
last night.
quite bizarre looking out the window right now, seeing it. Um, well, I'd love to hear from anyone else. Abby, Christelle.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm in Colorado, and we have gotten almost no snow this winter. So that is also very unusual. You
Isn't that
guys must be
something?
getting our snow.
What brought you into the the meeting today?
I work in community wildfire planning, so just always interested in learning more.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good
Glad
to
to
have
be
you.
here.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? We'd love to hear from you, see your face, hear why you came today and why you're interested in the course. And if not, it's okay too. I know it's different times for everybody. Some people are probably at home eating, shoving food into their face. Hello.
Hi there. I'm Adrian Mason from Canada, and I recently made a trip to Australia. They have an extreme forest fire warning right now. They're around 40 degrees when I left. And yeah, just following all the forest fires in Canada last summer, and unfortunately the California fires, it just seems like an increasing problem worldwide. So the more we can do, the better, I think, with restoration, especially.
Yeah. Well, Adrian, please spread the word to your friends in Australia. We were hoping to get more folks in Australia. I think one of the issues was the time differences, and but let them know that the course is actually gonna, we're gonna have recordings. So even if they can't make the live Q&As always, they could always watch them and they can always you know participate in the course that way. um, so I'm hoping to get it out more because we're dead summer right now. It's probably the most deadly time of the year for Australia right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much for hosting.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else want to say hello before we get started? I'm really
Hi.
happy.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Sandra from Berlin. Unfortunately, I can't turn on my camera at the moment. I used to work for a company that did reforestation projects in Angola, and Angola is widely known for lots of wildfires, man-made, not man-made. So I'm just interested in learning more about it and yeah, how to prevent it.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Good. I like to hear that we have a bit of a mix here today. And some more industry professional folks that are part of the group, because this is one of my big goals with this course is to train up, the next generation of industry professionals that can look at this situation in a more holistic way. Because obviously the approaches that we've taken in the past has not been working. We have some stuff that is coming out from some experimental sites that have shown some promise, and we've been doing a whole lot in California here because of the extremity of fire here. We've been pushed to experiment, and so happy to share some of that. But yeah, really happy to see more industry professionals. Well, I will go ahead and get it moving unless anybody else wants to say hello. But feel free to say hello in the chat as well once we get started here. So let me share my screen as we welcome a few more folks in. This is great. Okay. So welcome again, everyone, to the Wildfire Resilient Training webinar. And what we're going to be talking about today is, why I brought this together, why I created this course with partnership with the ecosystem restoration communities. What is the course all about? And the course design, and then get to your questions. I want this to be very interactive as well. So my name is Matthew Trum. My company's name is Treetop Permaculture. And if you'd like to know more about me, you can click this QR code right here. And also on the line here in the background, doing all the all the admin stuff in the back is Kath from the ERC. Kathy, she's been working with me on this course and the ERC crew. We're partnered on this course, and I'll tell you more about that. And if you'd like to, if you don't already have the link, that QR code on the right takes you to our wildfire resilience training landing page, our website. And then you can also look into more of the ecosystem restoration communities as well, if you don't already know about them. I'm from California here in the US on the West Coast. And if you looked at, a satellite image in the summertime here, it might look something like this. We are known for wildfires, from the historic past, but obviously in the last 10, 15 years, it's really become intense and different. Something's changed. I'm just north of Sacramento in the capital here. So about north central California, in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And many people know my area from the town of Paradise, which is just north. I'm in Oroville, just about 30 minutes south of Paradise. And back in 2008, I moved up to a little town called Berry Creek, which is above Lake Oroville, which has also been in the headlines because of other disasters. In 2017, we had the Oroville Dam spillway event, which the Oroville Dam is one of the largest earthen dams in the world, and it holds back a whole lot of water. This is it right here. And we had a huge rain event in 2017 that basically almost collapsed our emergency spillway. And that would have been 18 foot of water into the valley. And it would have caused one of the largest disasters in US history, actually, if that happened. So we've been in the news for not the right reasons over the years. Just a little, background here for myself. So when I moved up to the mountains, this is a satellite image of the property that I lived at. Now, I thought I was doing everything right, had my 100-foot clearance around the home that we created. Maybe a little less on one side, but where the fire would have come from, which is this area, in normal wind situations, we had a good 100+ feet. We had about 200 feet here. And on the other side of the home, maybe about 40 or so. And this is what, I had just a little off-grid cabin up there, and a little garden, and you can see the forest in the background here, though. Now, when I was living up there, and like many people, I didn't think of this forest as being, unhealthy. I just, I looked at it as this beautiful green jungle of, trees and everything. And here's another view, right, of the situation. But yeah, it was beautiful. We had banana slugs and lots of fungi, and it was amazing. Big giant sword ferns down by the creek. And anyways, I thought everything was good. In 2018, in the summer, I met John Liu, and he invited me to join this new vision that he had, was called the Ecosystem Restoration Camps at the time, and invited me to be on the council for this vision that was coming in California that following year. And so I looked up this name, Ecosystem Restoration Camps, and was doing some research on it. And, I'll never forget, one of his quotes in this video was, "Let's gather around the campfire and restore paradise," talking about a literal campfire and the paradise of the earth. 2 weeks later, the Paradise Fire happened here 30 minutes away from me, and it was called the Camp Fire. They usually name the fires on the road that they start on here in the US. And so it was on Camp Road is where the fire started. And that's why it has the name Camp Fire. And it consumed the town of Paradise within a short period of time. It was just about 12 hours that it moved from its origin point through the town of Paradise and caused massive devastation. And when I was looking at the news, this is the images that you would see. Whole neighborhoods completely consumed by the fire. I had never seen anything that close to home, and really woke me up. My daughter was also a part of her and her mother lived in Paradise and lost their home in this fire. And my daughter was luckily grabbed by some friends and taken out of the fire. But if she wouldn't have been picked up that morning, she would have been in that movie that maybe some of you saw with Matthew McConaughey about the bus driver. She would have been on that bus in Paradise. So this prompted me to start the first ecosystem restoration camp in the United States called Camp Paradise. Started a nonprofit called Campfire Restoration Project. And what we did is we went up into the burn scar and we showed people, how to restore their land and stuff. And I did a lot of post-fire immediate need stuff, dealing with toxic runoff, erosion control, and so forth. And then in 2020, I went through another fire that was even closer to home to me, called the North Complex Fire. This was a 350,000 acre fire in very similar fashion. It burned that 350,000 acres in about 3 days. And that little cabin that you saw in this picture, this is what it looked like afterwards. And this picture that you saw down by my creek, this is the same place after the fire. It burned about 98% of all the above ground trees in the area. Was complete loss for most of the forest and life. All the animals and things that were in the area had no ability to escape. And so it was a massive loss. Since 2015, over 55% of the land mass in my county in California has burned, which is a staggering amount. The first fire here was 180,000 or 100, I'll just say 150,000 acres, around that. The next one here, 350,000. And the Dixie Fire, which this is only the beginning, actually it encompassed this whole area, was 960,000 acres, almost 1 million acres in size. So, this is, I have a bit of a history with fire here in my local area, and this is what really prompted me to get involved so much in fire. But the story of why we are where we are is a story old as time. Not so much in California, but in Europe, and it happened a long time ago. It's the destruction of the resources and the life, right, in these areas. So the removal of almost extinction and many places extinction of many of the animal species that were in those areas. The birds, the grazers, and many of the other important species. It was the logging of the old growth trees, right? Massive slash burns, burning up all the biomass that was once there. Mining, total destruction of the creeks and the streams and the rivers, causing flooding, lots of erosion in the areas. Things that prompted stuff like the Oroville Dam here. That's our Oroville Dam. And that's after. So, you know, a lot of destruction that we've caused to nature. And there's a great quote by one of my favorite, you know, books I've ever read is One Straw Revolution. It got me into all this actually. It says, we throw Mother Nature out the window, she comes back in the door with a pitchfork. You know, so the question is, what can we do about this? And so the first step, and this is what I'm going to take you through in the very beginning of the course, which I hope all of you will come and join us, is understanding the mechanics of life, right? How does the ecosystem function? And to do that, we have to understand, you know, the life systems. These are the elements that play critical roles in a forest, right? How do the grazing animals contribute to the, you know, eating of the vegetation and nutrients, you know, things like the beavers here in California, for instance, soaking, spreading, and sinking water into the landscape, you know, the fish swimming up the streams, carrying critical ocean nutrient to feed the systems. All these different elements play a role. So we have to understand what role they play. And many of these elements are no longer in these forests, in these places. And so we often, more than often, have to mimic these natural elements by design. We have to become the grazers. We have to become the beavers. We have to become these other elements and allow for some of them to return where they can. And unfortunately, in many situations, we have to continue to mimic these elements into the indefinite future to help keep these systems healthy. Each one of these elements plays a critical role in, you know, in the system's nutrient cycling, the soil, the health, the disease suppression, all these things. And humans are also a major factor, and we can learn a lot from the indigenous peoples, the first peoples of all these lands. Here in California, the native Californians were seed selectors. They were using good fire on the landscape, right, to help control the vegetative overgrowth, to create habitat for grazing animals to come in. And they did it for their own yield, you know, for their own food, fiber, medicine, for, you know, the animals' food, fiber, medicine. And this is a huge part of it because the forest is like a battery, okay? The ecosystem is a battery, and the life in that ecosystem is the charge on the battery. And if we don't understand that, unfortunately, we can't get to the next step. And where we've been is we've been depleting the battery at the same time as we've been depleting the charge on the battery. And you know what happens when your phone gets really low, like 20%, we start to see critical failure. And that's where we're at today, is that critical failure. But we can use good design to combat this. So there is inspiration ahead, and this is what we're all about here in the course. So we teach you systems thinking using systems like permaculture design. This is where my background is. I'm a permaculture educator, consultant, designer. I'm also a landscape contractor, and I've been out there doing the work. I've been creating demonstration sites in this field, you know, and post-fire demonstration sites. So we're going to teach you in the course about design techniques to create wildfire defense, water systems and land design, right? How can we rethink the way that we design these systems, and especially around our human, you know, developed areas, right? How can we create buffer zones? How can we create water harvesting systems and water directing systems that can protect, you know, our homes, our towns, and so forth? How can we look at proven building models, both natural but also other modern building models that are fireproof, right? How we know these things work, and it just needs to get out there more. So we're going to share a lot about those kind of systems, really easy ones, basic, all the way to very elaborate and modern building techniques. How can we create, you know, how can we come and not only pre-fire, right, like create the right conditions, but how do we come in post-fire and help restore ecosystems and our lands, and prevent toxins from running off, using bioremediation methods as well to clean up areas that have burned. There's a picture of after the campfire, us, you know, doing some installations of these wattles, and yeah, helping prevent erosion. Using simple techniques like the burned trees that were right there on the land, and so forth. I'm also, you know, a big part of what I do is water harvesting systems, water soakage systems, being the beaver, if you will. So I'm going to teach you guys about water harvesting techniques, water soaking techniques, key line design. We've got some of the best in the world coming out to share this. Like Jeff Lawton, this is a picture of Zaytuna Farm in Australia. Jeff Lawton, one of my permaculture teacher and one of the best out there. And other things like gray water systems to help create water soakage through the landscape, right? Creating a water lens. And how simple composting techniques, even human composting techniques, all sorts of things, and good design, ultimately. So with that, let's get into more of the course design itself. Okay, so if you don't know already, this is our website here. Let me open this. If you haven't been there, please go check it out. And I think Kath has posted the link in the chat. If not, maybe you can post it again, Kath. And got some inspirational video there. Gives you a lot of information about the course itself, more about me. And look at our incredible lineup here. This is like the wow, okay? Like I was so humbled of all these incredible world famous, you know, folks and people that I've worked with that might not be as well known, but are experts in their craft. You know, John Liu, Jeff Lawton, you know, Lee Klinger. He's a local guy in California that has developed these fire mimicry techniques to heal trees, and to heal the land using fire mimicry. So how do we do the same as fire, but to kick the ecosystem into response and healing without having to, you know, go through those fires? Alan Booker, another big permaculture designer, who's been working a lot with governments and bigger corporations in training them how to think more holistically. So he's going to teach us about that. Local indigenous folks that I work with. Paul Wheaton is also in the course. We got natural building, you know, experts like Miguel Elliott, Sir Kabbalat, we call him, who's like really great at developing these like low cost natural building models and stuff. Matt Power is bringing all of his soil scientist stuff to the table, and many, many more. Eric Olson, I'll point out, also big name in permaculture, but he's a person who's developed, more of the professional permaculture side of things. So he's going to be speaking to that. All these, sort of industry professionals that are here today. You'll learn a lot from Eric on the, how do we take this to the next level on an industry scale as well. Okay, and let's talk about the course itself here. So we've now, the course is laid out in 4 months. There's 4 modules. And so this is how we carry you through the course. It starts off where we go from the ground up. Ecosystem understanding, similar to the stuff we talked about today in detail, understanding ecosystems and their engineers. We go through all the mainframe systems of an ecosystem, from geography to wind, water, soil, and fire. We've got the best of the best in these areas. One of the people I'm really excited that I brought in on the geography section is Ben Mismer from Mississippi. He's been working directly with Jeff Lott, and he is the leading maps guy in the world for modern map technology. And Zeke Lunder, who's also a geographer, talking about fire behavior and so forth. And Cassandra Kiki, she's also very, very versed in this section. It's a really important thing to understand about fire is the geography itself. So you can be more, actually, you become less, fearful, because when you understand how the wind in your area travels through the geography, how fire behavior travels, it gives you that knowledge so that you can come with, from a place of understanding and not be so, scared when fire happens. You'll know what's going to happen. You could teach your community this. We've got Raleigh from the Water Stories, who works with Zach Weiss, taking us through the water section. Matt Powers brings us through the soils, as well as some key soil people that worked with Dr. Elaine Ingham. By the way, rest in peace, Dr. Elaine just passed away yesterday. So that's a big loss in our big community. But it was her inspiration that that got our experts, our speakers that are involved in the course, to start their compost business, and they're some of the best out there to speak on the whole soil front, and many experts in fire, so forth. And then we go into post-fire restoration. This is probably the largest section of the course because it's so important. But even if you have not experienced fire, there is so much to understand in this section for preparing, because to know what happens after a fire allows you to prepare for fire. So we go through the whole process. So if you're a post-fire survivor, we highly encourage you to take this course, because it's going to take you through the entire step-by-step process, from day one until the long-term recovery side of things. And so this has been my, unfortunately, but been my main experience with the fires, was the post-fire. I'm lucky to be in a place now where I'm able to actually be in the pre-fire, getting ready for the potential, not if, but when a fire comes. So I am ready. Then we get into the real serious piece, which is design, right? How do we reduce wildfire risk and design for resiliency? So it's basically like a permaculture 101 course, systems thinking, water access, structural placement on landscapes, how to, think about placing elements in a landscape, what kind of hardening techniques for your homes, things like that. We go into management plans and strategies. How do we turn fuels into tools? How do we, create a yield for the work that we do? And industries, really. I mean, there's this whole new opportunity in this field of fuel reduction that it can actually create businesses, mom and pop to large scale businesses, right? So we're going to be talking about all of that. How do we use good fire? How do we bring fire back into the landscape in prescribed burns and other small burns? We talk about biochar. We're going to have a biochar expert as part of the talk. How do we create all these wonderful products out of the work that's needed? And module 4 is making a plan and taking action, the most important piece, right? So we're teaching each one of you how to create a management plan for whether it's your property or a community project or working with others or other places to create a management plan. And we walk you through, everybody's going to make a plan in the course and a design to showcase, and we're going to work with you. We're going to have experts working with you. We're going to have these week-long open sessions where we're going to be pairing you with experts and giving you feedback and walking you through this whole process, right? And then we're also going to be bringing in all these folks from all over the world that are doing the work right now, so we can tap you into projects going on in Germany, in England, in other parts of Europe, Spain, Portugal. Big group that I'm working with is in Portugal. I'm actually walking through our friend Hugo and his community who had experienced post-fire, and they're doing incredible stuff out there. Amazing how much he's done in just a short period of time. There's so many cool projects happening all over the world, Australia and so many other places. And so we want to connect you so you can go and do the hands-on work where you're at in the world. And we encourage you to come to these places. You're welcome to come out here to the Treetop Eco Camp and come and join me. If you want to come out to California, more than welcome to come and join me here and see what we're doing on site. And anyway, so this is the design of the course, and we're really excited to do this. The cost is really low. Okay, we have really wanted to make this accessible. We have the course down to $495, right? It's 4 months. You get 2 hours ish. Some weeks is 2 to 3 hours of material every week, which you can watch at your own pace. We're releasing the information in 3 major chunks, and you'll have plenty of time to look at that. We're doing actually weekly live sessions every Monday. It's 9 a.m. Pacific time. So whatever, it's probably, I think that is 6 p.m. In CET time. So we're going to be doing weekly live sessions, but we're also having some sessions with panelists, with our expert panelists. You can see that also here. And we're going to have many of those. So you can ask directly to those experts, okay? And so a lot of value there. We're going to be recording all those Q&As as well, and you'll be able to watch those if you can't be there live. You can rewatch them as well. And we even have payment plan for the course, $89 a month for the payment plan. And if you have 10 or more people that want to come together as a group, so like if you're in a professional agency with some folks and want to take it together, we have a 10% off
All right.
discount. And we also have a fire survivor discount we have a special actually going on. So please reach out to us if you are a fire survivor. We have a significant discount for fire survivors as well. We just want to make this accessible. Let me just say this very clearly. We don't want to turn away anyone. Okay. So if price is an issue, reach out to us and we will work something out with you. Okay. But we really tried to make this accessible to all. And, we think this is so important to get this information out. I've really worked hard to curate, the best of the best in this work to create like a holistic view on this because I haven't seen anything out there in this way. There it is. And now I'd like to open up for questions, comments, and hear from each one of you a bit. Let me start with this. And I want to ask a couple questions. Okay, so everybody has a little reaction thing down below. And I want to raise of hands, and you can do it with your video as well. But can we do a raise of hands? How many of you that are here today want to take this course or interested in the course because you are just worried about protecting your own land or your own community? Okay. Nicole, Carlo. And feel free, yeah, if you can see the little participant, okay, yep, the reaction button, that would be great. Okay. Okay. And how many of you are here because you wanted to get more skills for your industry that you're in to help others to get out there and do that work? Go ahead and raise your hand. Awesome. Okay. How many of you that are here are fire survivors? Have been through fire? Okay. Great. And then how many of you are here for another reason? Or just curious or okay, well that gives me, we're about even on each front, I think it sounds like. So that's good. Yeah, so feel free to unmute yourselves. Or Kathy, I don't know if we have to unmute people, but yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and take yourself, turn on your camera, and I'm here to answer questions, just to hear from you what your thoughts are, comments. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what to say then. So we start April 6th, right? Oops. That gives us, a bit of time, for you guys to, think about this or tell your friends. We are also offering affiliate discounts as well that I wanted to tell you. So you can also reach out to that if you're interested in being an affiliate and sharing the course out to others. We can also offer some additional discounts and opportunities for folks in that way. And yeah, the opening day, on April 6th when we have our first live session, is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a real good one. I'm bringing in some heavy hitters that first day, just to inspire folks. I'm not going to tell you who yet, but it's going to be really exciting. I'll tell you one, John Liu's going to be there for sure. And yeah, some other some big names to come in there, and we're yeah, then we're going to be bringing in for the next one. The next, very first one is our maps people, all of our geography folks. That's going to be really exciting because some of that work I want to point out that Ben Missimer is doing in the Pearl. His name of his company is called Pearl River Eco Design. Highly recommend you check that out. And he's been doing this like cutting edge LiDAR data mapping that is using animation now. So we are actually working on his presentation in the course is incredible. We've been working on this together, showing this fire history and feeding in all this data points into it that shows how it's changed the wind and the moisture and everything that led to these megafire events. And when we have overlaid all these different megafires, it all has the same exact footprint where it's showing that because of the removal of these key ecosystems and these elements over time, it's created these wind corridors that have brought in the continental winds, the dry winds from the intercontinent into these places, and has dried them out. And then it creates the opportunity for these wind events that happen. And that's what leads to these megafires. And that's the big difference with these modern megafires than fires in the past, that they're moving at a much higher speed. There's more fuel than there's ever been there, and a part of the decrease of moisture has to do with the biology and everything else. So, but no questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I mean, feel free to just just say hello. And are you excited about this opportunity, the training? Like, I'd love to hear from you.
Carla, we can't hear you.
Oh, is Carlo trying to speak? Shoot. He's not muted, so I don't know why. And have we unmuted everybody else? Carlos trying to speak, he says. Interesting. I don't know why. Maybe mute and unmute again, Carlo, or you can ask the question. You can just type in to the chat, I guess. How about any of our friends from Europe? Love to hear from you. My friends from Germany, any thoughts there? Or
can you hear me?
Hey, there you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Good. I don't know what time is there. Morning or afternoon or even. I don't know.
Here it's morning.
Okay. Here is almost night in Europe. So I'm contacting you from Sardinia, an island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea that is really prone to wildfire. So we had some big wildfire recently, and I live in an area that is close to the sea. Is I think 5 kilometers from the sea, but there is a lot of forest and mountain just behind me everywhere. And it happened also in the past that in this area there was a big wildfire that started initially with electricity, some electricity problem in some cabin, and then because of the wind, it spread and it was a big fire as well. So yeah, I'm interested in the course because yeah, I took a PDC with Jeff Lawton. So I used to in Hungary. I'm doing permaculture myself in my land, and yeah, like I saw a podcast of you in with Jeff Lawton, and yeah, and I found this topic really interesting because actually, yeah, during in the design, yeah, we speak a bit about Wildfire, where you will place certain element, but not so in deep. And yeah, I would like to know more because yeah, it would be really good to have in the community to be able to acknowledge people about this and to do some nice work, maybe for the community to prevent issue, and also in my land because at the end, regarding the topic, I'm not really and I didn't do that much so far. So I was wondering, and there my question come, if this course is like would be like offering knowledge for all the kind of places, and also like if you will go a bit deep about water harvesting technique also that I'm really interested about because I'm trying to do something in my land, but I never took an earthwork course. So I would like to know more, anyway, yeah, this.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, Jeff's my yeah, my favorite, he's my teacher too. And then it was really cool to work with him. I'm actually going to put into the chat that you mentioned that it was an incredible podcast. If you guys want to watch it, there it is. I just put it into the chat. So Jeff has a new podcast called Discover Permaculture Podcast, and I was like one of the first outside guests, in the podcast, and it was like one of the longest, like three something hours, I think. I can't remember. It was so long. We went on for, and there's a lot of really awesome stuff that we talked about in there. Obviously, I can't, give you guys tons with 1 hour. Here it's I'm doing, give you as much as I can. But what we went into in that is about, water systems was a big part of it, right? And what Jeff like specializes in, I think where he really shines in permaculture is the mainframe design, right? This is what, right? This is what you, Carlos, I'm sure when you took his course, this is what he really hammers in is mainframe design, right? It's kind of like the learning about the skeleton of design, the bones of the design. It's like water systems, access, the roads, the pathways, and structures, placement of structures, and structural elements on the land. These three things, water, access, structures, are really the key components of design. And getting that right, if you get that right, you don't have to get a lot of the other things perfect. You can really kind of play around with the rest of the system. Water and structures and water and access go hand in hand. Zaytuna Farm is a screaming example of that. Where we use our roads and our homes to collect water, right? Our roofs, our roads, these hard surfaces are like the best things that we can use to collect water and move water, right? And get it into the ground. Because a big problem where we are with these fires is that the water sheds off so quickly, and engineers have designed our human infrastructures to shed water off of the landscape and there's good reasons for that. And for folks that are more like in wetter areas, right, do understand the reasons for this. However, once we've shut it off the infrastructure, we need to pick it up real quickly and get it into the ground, right, or use it, extend the water, especially when we're in the drier Mediterranean type climates, because it's our line of defense, and not just water, but then getting the life into that water and getting life into that soil. So when the water comes through that soil, it's holding, soil life holds 30 to 50 times more water in the soil, right? It's a huge difference. And covering the soil and, doing things like this are so huge. We are definitely going to be going deep on water, Carlos, in the course. And some of the things that I've been doing as a landscape contractor, in these communities, I'm going to be talking about some of those techniques that I use. And I'm all about simple. Like I'm not about, overcomplicated systems. I want to keep simple systems, so people have access to it. But I'm going to go into some other questions that I see have come out. Alyssa says, I live in Italy in a natural reserve. Farmers specialize in regenerative agriculture. We are worried about our 30 hectares land over the last years. There are wildfires all around us. I think they're a very interesting program. This is an interesting program. We'll look at it if you think it's replicable all around Europe. Sorry, I'm traveling. Okay. Yeah. The way we've designed this program is it's applicable anywhere. And one of the things that, I want to share is that I worked with 2 other parts of the world very in depth to illustrate this. So Hugo in Portugal, we've been working together to show these analogs, different climate profile applications for these different kinds of areas. And I'm working with a gentleman named John in Brazil as well, and showing the difference of climates, because fire is even happening in these tropical places, and subtropical or close to the tropics, because they're not excluded from fire. They're actually, they're more brittle environments, actually. Once that the canopy has been removed, it becomes desertified, and then fires start to occur in those places. And it's actually, in a way, it's worse because a lot of the people aren't expecting it in those areas. And so they don't have a history of fire. They don't have a history of how to deal with fire. It can actually be very detrimental. So we're actually using these same kind of techniques in a different application, so we can see it through the lens of the subtropics. We can see it through the lens of the European culture, and different, financial, different kinds of ways to look at it. That's one of the things that bothered me with a lot of the fire information that's out there. It's coming from an high money industry level, and so a lot of the solutions are these very expensive things like home hardening sprinkler systems and things like that not everybody can afford, or is not even practical in some places. So I've tried to bring this course down to earth, and simple, so that way, you can go from the simple application all the way up. Yes, if you're on that level, we also are going to show some of those other more modern techniques, if you will, that can also help. So let's see, let's go to Julia. You want to see if this can be used in the indigenous community in Peru, high in the Andes. So yeah, there we go. Just kind of similar answer there. And like I said, the work that John and I have done on this has been really incredible. He had to actually do some research because a lot of these areas like California, we have a lot of history or data from what the ecosystems were like before, colonization. But in other parts of the world, there isn't as much information. So he actually did some research and the discovery process, and we filmed our entire process of that. It was really fun, and he had it was a huge like aha moments for both of us going through that process, like seeing, wow, they actually had these large sort of grazers, even elephants, not too long, thousands of years ago, but in ecological time, it's not that long. And I discovered things like, yeah, because when we had the mastodon here in California, these large mammals, and they were browsers, not just grazers. They actually ate some of the woody materials and stuff. These animals were creating fire breaks in the landscape. And then when they left, the indigenous people saw that change in the ecosystem, and that's why fire use started, was to sort of mimic the missing large megafauna animals and their footprint on the landscape. And so in that same way, we need to also think about what else is missing from the ecosystem. So how do we mimic that? How do we use compost tea and fish emulsion to mimic the salmon or the fish that used to swim up and be carried in by birds and bears into the landscape? How do we maybe grow some fast growing shade trees to mimic the canopy in the forest temporarily to create habitat and create native species to grow again, right, in a better way, shade the ground, create more hydration, especially in our closer environments near our infrastructure, right? So there's lots of techniques we can use to mimic these things. Cocoa in West Africa, land regeneration project, bushfires started mainly through people making charcoal in the bush. We're looking for practical techniques to teach local people to manage fires that get out of control. We're interested in low-cost methods, which can be easily taught to very poor communities. Awesome. Yeah, so Cassandra Kiki, who's leading in a couple of the parts of the course, the fire section, and then we also have our native indigenous traditional ecological knowledge practitioner that's on the course is going to be taking us through very simple techniques of how do we create fire breaks, how can we use real simple hand tools to combat fire. It's one of the things that we found is that one person left behind with the right knowledge is more valuable in a fire than anything else. In fact, one person with a hose or one person with a rake or a pickaxe or a shovel that knows what to do will save a whole neighborhood just by putting out little spot fires. It's not the initial fire that usually burns down the homes. It's the subsequent ash and embers that come down, right? So again, knowledge takes away the fear, and then we can actually be in there in a proper position to do the things that are needed to be done. But we also hope that we can do a lot of that work ahead of time, right? So that's also the key, is working ahead of time on these situations. And many of these areas are missing the elements they need for keeping these systems in control and healthy. Because when the native peoples in these areas that have fire used to burn, they were burning in a much better condition than we are now, right? The soil had more biology. There was more grazing animals keeping all the brush down. There was all that nutrient and all that life in the soil that also contributes to its recovery. and many other factors. But yeah, we have to like see the system where it needs to get to. And we don't do this like on broad scale, right? Like we can do it on broad scale, but we start like permaculture, we start outside of our back door. We start right outside in our yards, in our communities, you know, and we work our way out because it's not practical or manageable to try to manage millions and millions of hectares, millions of acres, you know, out in these areas far away from our living areas. We eventually can affect change in those areas, but I truly believe that the best way we can affect change is by doing the things right where we are and creating a buffer zone, right where we're at. And that actually helps breathe the life that we need and create the knowledge through seeing the techniques being done, and you know, the demonstration of the techniques and things that need to be done, the design principles locally. It's very important. I work with children a lot too, so this is a big part of it. So, yeah, we still have a lot of people on the call. Nicole, Julia, Graham, Colleen. Well, Graham, you talked. Colleen, Alyssa, Abby. Love to hear from you. Any questions?
Matt?
Yes.
Graham had a question. It was one of the first ones. If you just scroll up, you'll
Okay.
see that one.
Okay. Will there be any address of working in dense forest? Yeah. Totally. So yeah, that's what my forest was in Berry Creek. So this is very close to home for me, for sure. And also working with Dr. Lee Klinger in the course who's there's no people, okay, all the people I should say that are taking this course love trees. Okay, we all love trees, we love nature. So you can feel very confident that if somebody like me or Lee Klinger or anybody that I brought into this course is telling you how to, you know, when to cut trees down, when to clear the forest, how to clear it, we're coming from a place of love. And the thing is that like I didn't do anything up in Berry Creek to the forest and my property that burned, and now it's all gone, you know. And so the proper, you know, application of some of these things, and also the strategic, you know, reasons behind it and how do we use this material that comes out of the forest. In fact, one of the talks by Penny is about small pole building construction, which I think you'll find very interesting, Graham, because this is kind of a new technique, this new way to build using small round, you know, basically, you know, all that stuff that you need to clear out of those forests to make it a healthier situation. And also to be able to do understory burns, proper controlled burns and things like that. So yeah, we're going deep into that for sure. So, and it's always about, you do these things that you might consider like on the outside, you know, looking in like, oh, that's not great, you know, cutting these trees and, you know, burning. But it's not like we just do that. And the problem is that's what is happening. Some of these groups, even with the best intentions, right? You could say logging's not bad, it's improper logging that's bad. You can say that burning is good, but improper burning is not. What we're teaching folks is the 5 or 6 steps that come after those, you know. So if you do sustainable logging and then come back in and do sustainable planting and sustainable management of that system, right, going forward, you know, managing the understory, right, doing controlled burns, and then coming back and adding compost teas and bringing the grazing animals in, whether it's our own domesticated grazing animals by design with electric fences, mimicking the predator pressures that are natural in nature, and moving them through the landscape, and managing the regrowth, right? This is all part of, there's the critical steps after are what we're all about. Because there's a lot of good stuff out there. They're just not addressing a lot of that. So I hope that answered your question. Okay. Well, folks, oh, thank you, Graham. Yeah, we're at 10:15. So what my goal today is, I want each and every one of you to sign up for this course. We need good folks that are, really dedicated to this. You're like the first wave of people, and you're going to be like taking this knowledge back to where you live and sharing it with your communities. And this is going to be really important. And some of you guys that are industry professionals that are doing this, I would love to hear back and, get your contributions. This is a two-way street in this course. We're going to be doing weekly check-ins, and it's a conversation. It's not a one-way course. It's about learning from each other as well, and seeing those the things you're doing and applying some of this work where you're at, and getting that feedback back to the group. It's through us working together that's going to make this happen, and make, because a lot of this stuff is, we're in a new place and a new time in history, and so we need to work together to create this regenerative sort of landscape in the future, right? And so we need each and every one of you. So I hope that I gave you enough today to excite you, to get you interested in the course. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. If Kathy, you want to put real quick again in the chat, our contact information, the hello@ERC, and also my personal email that I'll be able to get back to you right away if you have any questions. So like I said, we don't want there to be any barriers for you to take this course. We really want to see each and every one of you there, and we're gonna have lots of fun as well. Okay, so I like to goof around, a bit. I'm all my speakers that I've brought into this are all fun people. You can't do this work without having fun too. A lot of this stuff is serious subjects, but humor is how we get through a lot of this stuff too. So having a good attitude and everything. So and being together in community, right? So I hope to create a strong community. So yeah, thank you, Alyssa. We appreciate you. Yeah. So with that, y'all, please take the emails down right there at the end, and please reach out with all your questions, and feel free to unmute and turn on your camera to maybe say goodbye from wherever you're at, and hopefully we see your faces again soon. Okay. And there it is, and the snow just stopped. Like just a few minutes ago, it just stopped. So it was like a magic moment there with you guys. So, well, okay. Makes me wonder if something is locked up there, but we also had Carlos. Carlo we were able to see. So
I just have one question, one more
Okay.
question.
yes.
The next webinar, is it really at 3 o'clock in the morning for us over here on the other side of? Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing today. It's more geared for the Western
Okay.
Hemisphere.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if I miss it, it's not a big deal. And one further question on I just printed out the itinerary for with the dates, and I could see on yours there's the 30th of March, the first date. Is this correct? Because mine just said 4th of or 6th of April. So I was a bit.
Yes, and see, and Kath pointed this out. So we're going to be sending, yeah, and I will correct this. We're going to be sending out a little intro email or video to everybody on the 30th of March. That's all it is.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it's what we call the intro, the grand intro. It's really just a kind of inspirational video that we're going to send a week ahead before the first actual live session. And that day of the live session on April 6th, we release the first module of the course that day, right there live with everybody to begin your journey. So yeah, so I apologize if that was confusing. We'll have to
Okay.
correct
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. And it's Easter, I think. Easter? I don't know, but I have to check.
don't, maybe, huh?
Because it's Greek Easter is a week earlier, so it might be just between Greek and German Easter. Just-
Okay, that's
yeah.
a good point. But you'll have a whole week to watch
Yeah.
it. So yeah, we have all of our we have a live session every Monday. Okay, at that would be 6 p.m. CET, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then yeah, basically some of those Mondays will have panelists, so we'll really advertise those ones to you guys to make sure if you can't make the other
Yeah.
ones, come to those. And
Okay.
yeah, so yeah, it should be lots of fun.
And I just wanted to add that I also watched the permaculture podcast with
Okay,
Jeff Lawton and you, and this was the reason why I signed up for the course because it was really interesting. I mean, it was you should promote this podcast a bit more so more people come because if you don't know that this is taking place, you
thank
can't.
you. Yeah, for sure. I know it's up to 3.8 thousand views. Yeah, I was just looking at it. Yeah, we no, thank you. It definitely was a help. And yeah, there was a really great conversation. That was
Yeah.
you know, some of the best there. It's yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we bring it to. I appreciate that.
And for me, just quickly, I wanted to say also that for me, it's really important because we have a lot of fires around, and I can see that the old people they still burn as they did it the last 50 years. But now we have so many restrictions,
Mhm.
and these restrictions in Greece are so extreme, I would say, that it goes in the wrong direction. So people cut down all the trees, they cut down the bushes, so they take out all the green.
Right.
And for me, this would be also a topic, an important topic, just to I mean, how can I talk to people or to the community so they understand and they're not scared? So what they're doing. So because this is really an issue now.
Right.
Because out of fear they do so many mistakes or so many stupid things. Um, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really good question because and here where I am, it's a very politically divided place. And so you have on one side the extreme, environmentalists, like, that don't touch anything, right? Don't do anything. And on the other side, you have these sort of, log it, graze it, let it burn, kind of extreme on the other side. And the truth is, it's something in the middle there, because we have to be interventive. We have to get in there and do the work. And some of those old ways, it's not that those individual things are wrong, it's just how they're done, And so the conversation I like to have with these kind of people is, you start in affirmation, like and like in positive connections with them. It's like, wow, you're really good at that. Like your neighbor might have a tractor, might have, might be like cutting stuff with a chainsaw, or they might be burning. We're like, wow, you're really great at that. I heard about this, this way that you can do it, like, and even it even is better.
Yeah.
It's not like trying to shame people, like for the ways, because the way that we can change, I think, really create the most change is by trying to work with folks, because they have the same concerns, and I think ultimately, that it's like safety. They love the land, it's a different maybe way to look at it, but like they still have a love for the land in some way. And so it's how do we come together and create a situation that's actually better for them in the same goals they have. They're just not seeing it yet. And so you know yeah, I mean, this has been my biggest thing here is working with folks in that way. I mean, we have a very strong right wing kind of folks here, and a very strong left, wing looking folks, and it's like trying to come up with those mutual grounds. How do we both see the land and safety and things like that? So yeah, it's not saying burning, but burning, like we're doing burning right now here, but it's conservation burns, we're creating biochar with the burning. So it's actually creating better carbon that stores carbon in the ground, right? All these kinds of things. And so, yeah, it's, in logging, right? Sustainable logging. And we're also using, like when they log right now in California, they burn all the hardwood and they just keep the timber, the softwoods for timber for lumber. But we're teaching now what can we use the other wood for, other than just firewood. Like we can grow mushroom logs, we can create biochar, we can do these newer building techniques that we're learning about with some of this wood. So there's, it's definitely a big part of our conversation is how do we actually get these things passed, in local governments, but also in the minds of our neighbors, because
You have to start with the neighbors first, and
and yeah, and it's being really it's seeing the positive things about them, in my opinion, and befriending them first. And you show the techniques that you're doing. Once you befriend someone and you see where you have common ground, and then they start looking at your situation, they go, huh, what it is you're doing, like what is that, and they start to think about it a little differently. I don't know. That's been what's worked here.
Mm. And there's one more thing. So since 2 years, we have to all property owners have to sign a declaration that we cleared all our land. And it has been a big discussion going on in Greece because a lot of people also around Athens cut down really everything in their garden because they thought this is cleaning or clearing. And now people are really, they're confused now what they should do. So and you have to sign this, and when you sign it, you just sign that you have nothing on your property which can burn, which is also crazy because this. So this is also part of, and some people, they refuse to sign because they said we can't do this. I mean, we cannot cut down everything or take everything away. So
we're dealing with the same thing. And whether it's a local government or whether it's insurance companies, it's the same thing. So yeah, we address this in actually 2 sections of the course.
okay.
And one of them is about how do we communicate this new information that we have to the local governments, so they can see actually, it's not that we can't demonize all plants, all trees. We have good lists of ones that are safe, near homes, and other things that you can do that even if you had some plants or trees that are questionable, there's other things you can do to make the situation safe. And it's been, we've been educating insurance companies, like in Paradise. We finally brought insurance companies back because of this long process. I mean, it's been 7 years now. I think they just came back last year, the first insurance company, because of the work that's been done, educating them on and showing demonstration sites and yeah, just educating them over time. We have things here like health, it's like Firewise communities and stuff, they call them. And so if you can become one of these kind of Firewise communities, and you could do similar things in Europe, I don't know if there's an equivalent there, but if you become a Firewise community, you get cheaper insurance rates. You get the local governments will ease up on the regulations in those areas, because they know that you actually have a higher standard. You're actually addressing this. So it's some due diligence, but I would talk to like local garden clubs and groups like that who really care about cutting down their vegetation. I mean, for me, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't want to do it either. I was like, I'd rather pay the higher price or whatever. And so we finally were able to work with them, but I've seen it too many times as well. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we do address it, so
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, well, we better sign off. It's 10:30, so great talking to you, Nicole, by the way, and everybody else. Carlo, great talking with you as well, and everyone else that's chimed in today. Really appreciate you. Yeah, go check out that podcast if you want. I'm gonna copy and paste it one more time in here, and then we will share that more. I appreciate you saying that. So. Much love from California, and I hope to see you all soon.